Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Sports Time HQ. I'm your host, Fernando. Joining with me today is my great co-host, Keith. But we're missing one person. Where is the other person? Gary. Oh, he's not here this week. He should be back here next week. But Keith's here, joined with us. We're back again, the old-fashioned duo. Keith, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Football's officially back. Not too sure I'll actually watch the Hall of Fame game, but I'm glad that football is back, and it's back every Thursday now, and for a while. So I'm happy out and happy to be on the show again, and yeah, we got a good show lined up.
I know it's finally the first night. There's no more weeks that we have to wait. It's football. Football is back. Bears versus the Texans. My favorite team this year will be the Texans. You always pick a team that you're rooting for. This year's the Texans.
You're not the Jags? No, not the Jags?
No, not the Jags. Not the Jags. No, they're still my second favorite team, but I really don't. I can't stand them. The ownership is just terrible. But it is what it is. I won't start the rant of the Jags destroying the team and how bad the team's going to be. But, let's talk about the Seahawks, how the Seahawks are going to do.
Who knows what the Seahawks are going to do, but a lot of people don't have them for a lot of wins. But I think they'll do better than what we think. It's hard to tell. A lot of people are thinking they're going to be really bad on defense, which I'm kind of surprised about, since Mike McDonald's known to be a defensive guy. Everybody's really excited about the offensive coordinator coming in, and he's going to air the ball out and all this and stuff. But I think we'll be solid on both sides of the ball. I don't think we'll be as bad as what people think.
I don't know. Yeah, what's your kind of, how many wins are you expecting a playoff push this year?
No, I'd be happy if we get like I've seen people say we'll get like 5 wins max. I think we could get 7, maybe 8, depending. I don't think we're that bad, but I could be completely wrong too, and we could be a 3 or 4 win team. This is a project for the next 4 or 5 years. So, and it starts this season, so we'll see how it goes. But I think we'll surprise teams. I think we might get 6 or 7 wins.
I think the Patriots are going to get like 8, 9 wins this year.
With Milton, not May.
Yes, Joe Milton. That's what it's going to be.
His arm, it looks good.
He's great. He's so good. I'm telling you. Didn't I tell you way back when we drafted Drake May and Joe Milton that Joe Milton might do better than Drake May? Yeah,
you did call it, but you weren't that happy for May either, because you wanted JJ. No. You wanted JJ, but so it was easy to fall on the Milton side. I get it, but it looks like if what you're reading and what you're seeing is correct, the last past couple of days, Milton's been outplaying May, so we'll see what happens.
So you're telling me that I saw notes that you're telling me that there is a 3rd overall pick, and they don't know who actually looks like the 3rd overall pick because one's doing better than the other.
Yeah, that's a bit crazy, all right. But I wouldn't give up on May yet. It's early days in training camp.
I'm giving up on him. Sorry, I'm done with it.
Put Milton in right now and just get it going. Is that what your attitude is?
I could see Milton really being successful. I think he could be more successful than.
He has the arm. Is whether he can do it on the big stage is another thing. But May was taken, the third pick in the draft for a reason, so he has to be talented as well. Got to give him a shot.
Yeah, got to give him a shot. Speaking of the opportunity of quarterbacks, we already have quarterbacks getting injured, and that will jump us into the news and notes around the league. The Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert, he was just diagnosed with the plantar fascia injury. I want to say if that's the right word to say, to his right foot. Basically, he is expected to be ready for the 2024 season. He should be out for at least 2 weeks. He's going to be placed in a walking boot during that time. Basically, the only question is if this is going to linger. Because if this is going to linger, it's going to offer tremendous, what's the word am I trying to figure out? It's going to offer times where we're going to want these wide receivers, these running backs to do great on this team for fantasy. And if his injury lingers, it's just not going to be good, especially Justin Herbert if you're drafting him as well in leagues.
Yeah, from what I know about this injury, it is one of them that can creep up again and again. It's hard to treat, I believe. So Herbert wasn't a guy I was rushing out to get, in fantasy. But I'd be definitely knocking him down a few spots now. Because if he's missing 2 or 3 weeks when it comes to the regular season because of this, it's not going to do your team any good.
No, it's not. And I mean, say for instance he misses these 2 weeks, he comes back. Week 1, he injures himself again. Back in the same boat now.
This could be the start of like something that happened to, Joe Burrow. I know completely
Exactly.
Different injury, but it's like still, it goes away, then all of a sudden at the wrong time at the start of the season comes back again and you're kind of screwed.
Yeah. Another set of notes. First of all, we should call the doctor. Dr. Jesse. Where's the doctor? I'm waiting for his response. I heard, I think he did post something on Twitter today about the injury, but I haven't had the chance to look at it.
I think he did something quick. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he did. Tariq Cohen. He is retiring from the NFL. The guy who has maybe helped you a couple weeks at a time, win you maybe your fantasy week, because he was definitely one of those that I had on my roster. If someone went down injured, plug him in, and he got you some success in points because he was a PPR machine. But his comeback attempt is over. He is retiring from the NFL. He is done.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, he was definitely good on a few of my teams. Good at kick returner as well. Small, nimble, dynamic, but the ACL and then the Achilles he got, I think, one after another. Really set him back, and obviously just couldn't come back from it. But yeah, it's part of the game, injuries, especially in the NFL. But it's sad to see him go. I thought he'd give it one last go this year, but obviously not.
Yep, completely done, unfortunately. And I don't think he would have been fantasy relevant this year. Anyways,
he wouldn't have been unless you're in deep leagues or like you're
deep leagues.
He would have been one of them sneaky ones though that come the back end of your fantasy season when everybody's getting injuries, that if you get off the waiver wire at the right time could help you win the league. But it's not to be, I suppose.
He was just that type of guy. You pick up off the free agency market, waivers, and boom, he just success story right there.
3 or 4 catches and a touchdown, and he'd be helping your team. That's the way he kind of was.
Yeah, very much so. Earlier today, there was some scary news about Deonta Foreman, who had to be transported via helicopter to a local hospital after a scary injury on the field during practice. But he was released from the hospital earlier today, just moments ago. So that is good news. Deonta Foreman, hopefully he has a speedy recovery, but that should be good, that he should be all set and ready to go.
Yeah, I didn't know he was. Yeah, I didn't know he was released. So that's good news. I seen the videos and all that, and it didn't sound good. So I think he got hit in the top of the head with a helmet or something. But yeah, I'm glad he's good, because that could have been nasty.
Very, very much. He did have, it was a neck injury, which makes me think if maybe it's like Chris Carson type of injury.
Yeah.
Which again is not which is also an unfortunate injury as well.
Exactly. Yeah, sure. Chris Carson had to retire from the NFL due to it, but glad he's okay, and hopefully he'll be ready to go for the season.
Yeah. Last set of news that I have is DeAndre Hopkins. This guy, he injured himself again, his left knee. He's expected to be sidelined 4 to 6 weeks. Best case scenario is that he's back for the first week of the season, regular season, week 1 against the Bears. I just don't see that happening. I think they're going to take time for him. I think they'll wait for him and maybe be like 5-6 weeks, I think is what they'll wait for him. But I highly doubt he'll be ready for week 1.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Not ideal for the Titans. They're kind of a team. Their offense looked pretty good getting in Calvin Ridley, but with Hopkins down, I suppose opportunity for Ridley to be the alpha there early on. I don't think he'll be back for week 1. If he is, I don't think he'll be 100% for sure. So I'll be moving him down some spots in my rankings. He wasn't a guy I was targeting a whole lot. I like Ridley over him. But yeah, I think he'd be moving down. He'd be a good guy to stash though on your bench if you're, if in your drafts you have 3 or 4 solid wide receivers, you want to put build out your wide receiver roster. He'd be a good one to hold there if you can afford to do it because we all know he's a great player.
And Tyler Boyd too.
TB, I like TB. TB is just that solid. Who is your guy? Renfro type of player that we always say that has his ceiling isn't crazy high, but he has a solid floor of 10 to 12 points. I think that's what TB is. More opportunity now for TB as well if Hopkins does miss the start of the season. But yeah, so his ADP should rise slowly.
Hopefully, I'm intrigued. I would give a dart throw to Tyler Boyd because I really think that if this injury lingers as well, just like the Justin Herbert injury, if this lingers as well, Tyler Boyd's target share is going to go up, up, up. And say, again, he aggravates his knee. Maybe that's another 4 to 6 weeks. At that point, you're already almost half this fantasy season over. So.
Yeah, I agree. And like you think of Calvin Ridley, he's been hurt in the past too. I think TB has been fairly reliable. Not too many injuries come to my mind there as well. So he can be fairly reliable. So he's a good guy to kind of get at the middle to back end of drafts. Like again, it depends what way you're drafting. If you're drafting for ceiling, he's not really your guy. But if you want a more of a floor play that's going to guarantee you that kind of 10-point mark, he's definitely a guy to go after.
Yeah, 100%. That's all the news I got. Keith, you got any news? Anything about your Seahawks? Anything about my Patriots?
They both potentially could suck, and they could both potentially be better than expected. Other than that, nope.
I think the power rankings, currently have the Patriots at number 32. I'm going to be honest. I haven't done my power rankings yet. I don't think they would be 32. I think they would be like 28.
Would say so, like with the question marks off the Seahawks, because either people don't really know what they're going to be or people think they're going to be bad. Where would you rank the Patriots? Like, what other teams do you think are the Patriots better than? That's the way I look at it. And there's not a whole lot. Like, people are trying to throw the cards in, but I think they'll be more a shootout team. And it depends if they win them. Their defense is not going to be good, but can they outscore teams?
I think the Cardinals will be good.
I think they'll be all right. The Rams, I think they'll still be good. Losing Aaron Donald's a big thing on defense, so that might put them into more shootouts. It's more that Jags, kind of Saints, them type of teams. There's going to be someone in there I think is going to be terrible. That's in that division.
I would have said that. I would have said that as well. For instance, above the Patriots, or worser than the Patriots in the rankings, I'd probably put like Carolina there. I wouldn't be surprised maybe putting Washington there for the time being.
Carolina, yeah, I agree. But I think they'll take a step forward. But how much from last year, I don't know. Washington, I think they could be a bit like the Seahawks, kind of question marks, because we don't know like if the quarterback Jalen, Daniels, his name escaped me there. If he comes out and he lights it up, I mean, he's definitely going to win games for them. So there's kind of question marks over that. So there's a few teams like
Giants, Tennessee.
There's a team I think that'll be worse than your Patriots. I think you'll beat the Giants.
I don't think anyone can be worse than the Giants.
Giants will be the worst.
But Malik Neighbors has been getting a connection with Daniel Jones, which makes me think, is Daniel Jones actually going to be good? But
my problem with that, and it's kind of like the thing we're going to talk about, your player there that you like on the Giants, is the offensive line. It's still going to be the worst in the league. Can they give Daniel Jones enough time? Like, Neighbors is going to do his thing. He's going to get separation. He's going to be open. But can they give Jones enough time to get the ball to him? That's going to be the question. I mean, I get it that a lot of people say Jones sucks and all that. And I'm not the biggest Jones fan, but he also had no offensive line since he's come into the league. And that's not going to help at all. And you're not going to see his full potential at all. So they're my question marks. But yeah, I wouldn't have. Okay, if you want to have the Patriots ranked 31 in power, fine. But I definitely have the Giants, as the worst team right now.
Yeah, I think the Giants are definitely. I'd probably put Giants, Panthers, then Patriots. I just don't know if the Panthers are really that good. I'm just not a Panthers fan. I I don't believe in Bryce Young. I don't think there's anything there. Tennessee, with DeAndre Hopkins being possibly missing the first couple weeks, also brings it down as well.
The Panthers, for me, since kind of I've been, following NFL and all that, they've either been really good or the bottom of the barrel. They never really have some middle
Yeah.
of the road seasons where like, oh, potential kind of playoff run and then fall short or start off great. It's always like
Cam Newton.
yeah, they're always like, yeah, when he came in, like really good with Cam, or then it's like bottom of the barrel,
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be more bottom of the barrel stuff, but I do think, Leggett, I hope he does well. Like what I see there, got in Deontay Johnson as much as like he gets a lot of hate in the fantasy community, but I think he's going to do well. I think he's going to be the safety blanket for Bryce Young. Bryce Young for me is the question mark. I did not like what I see last year, and he's going to have to take a big giant leap forward this year if that team's going to improve.
Speaking of, you mentioned Deontay Johnson. It just made me think of a new team that a wide receiver is in. DJ Moore, he got himself a big contract.
He did, and I was surprised with this because I think I said on the show that I thought he'd be the odd man out between Keenan Allen himself and Rome Odunze, and he'd get traded. But obviously not. I think the odd man out now is going to be Odunze. I really do. I think Keenan Allen. I think Keenan Allen's too talented. The only way I think Odunze gets more targets and is more relevant, especially for fantasy, if one of the two go down injured, as in DJ Moore or Keenan Allen, which could happen with Allen because he has, a history of being injured throughout the seasons. So it could happen, but I'd be a guy now that he'd be one of my busts right now because they're pretty like if they're giving DJ Moore, that kind of money, they're in on him. They've obviously seen early doors with Williams that they have a connection and things are going to go well there. Obviously they brought Keenan Allen over from the Chargers, so they obviously like him. So not saying Odunze is a bust as a player going forward or anything, but I just think for this year, he won't be on my list of targets. If you have him in Dynasty, great. I think he'd be good going forward because I don't think Keenan Allen will be around there too long. You might get 2-3 years max, and then Odunze slots in and probably takes over that role. But it's going to be the DJ Moore show, Keenan Allen this year, I think.
Interesting. Yeah. Do you think if they didn't have a good connection, you think DJ Moore would have got traded?
Yeah, I think that's what they were waiting on, to be honest, to see like they all, keep saying that DJ Moore is, QB proof. He always does well with all QBs, and maybe he is because he's been around the houses with different QBs in his, not that long, pretty short stint in the NFL so far. And I think they probably kind of went with that attitude and said, let's have a look and see what he's like with Williams, like the connection that they've got on so far, and then, paid the guy. So he's not going anywhere for 4 years, 3 anyways. Probably the last year could probably be, written off if they want to. And then you've got Keenan Allen there too. So I think they're trying to build something with Williams there, make a run at it. And Odunze I think he's going to be the odd man out, to be honest. I think you're going to be really relying on touchdowns, and it's not really what you want for fantasy purposes.
Makes sense. I guess we'll have to see what it's going to happen in his ADP. Will his ADP go up now that he got a contract? I don't know.
I'll probably move him up because I didn't know. I think I had Keenan Allen over him, if I think correctly. And maybe I still will, but I'll definitely move DJ Moore up a few spots now, knowing that he's not going anywhere and the Bears are confident in him.
Well, speaking of ADP, what is this show all about? Well, it is the mock draft. It's time for a one quarterback redraft mock with both myself and Keith. And we did it. We tested it out. We randomized the order. Unfortunately, Keith and I got stuck with the early picks. I got the 1.
Of course you got the 1. Of course he got the 1. How many? I wish if there was people watching this and watching the mocks and see how many times you get the 1. That's definitely 2 or 3 now.
No, not at all. See, we randomized it.
We did randomize that. I was proof of that.
I came in with the thought of having a specific strategy in this. I think now it's time to not have that strategy and throw it out the window.
Out it
because
goes.
it's not the strategy that I was going for, but it's going to have to switch up the strategy, I guess. We'll start the draft. I'm on the clock. Do I want to go with CD Lamb, Tyreek Hill, or Amon-Ra? Or do I take the clear cut 101 like it's been every year?
Josh Allen. Take Josh Allen. Best player.
It is a one quarterback league. I will not be going for Josh Allen. I will be going for Christian McCaffrey. Not who I really want to start with, I'm going to be honest. I want to try and go with the 0 running back format this week, but it looks like it's not going to happen.
You can go hero running back now. I mean, it's made for you there. I will.
CD Lamb goes in between us.
CD Lamb does go in between, which I'm not surprised. I will. You know what? I will join you with a running back to see how this goes. I never generally go with a running back first, so I'm going to see how it goes. I'm going to go Breece Hall at the 102.
I'm glad you went Breece Hall because Bijan was going as the 102 for running backs, or like the second running back off the board, and I just didn't agree with that.
No.
It's just oof. Josh Allen goes really early. You're back on the clock, but to round out the first and going into the second, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Puka Nacua going in the 107, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Bijan Robinson, Garrett Wilson. That rounds up the first round. Then second round, A.J. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Marvin Harrison, Kyron Williams, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley. I just got to say, Puka Nacua being the wide receiver 5 off the board is ridiculous.
I think it's crazy. I mean, there's no way he should be going ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown and Garrett Wilson probably too. I mean, and AJ Brown. That's just crazy. That's just not for me. That's just not for me. I'm gonna stay kind of true to my.
You got your tight end opportunity here with Sam Laporta.
Oh yeah. I love an early tight end. You know how that rolls, Fernando.
I do.
I don't think I'd be too happy of taking this guy in my real drafts as wide receiver 1, but I'm going to stick to my rankings. I'm going to take Devontae Adams here as my wide receiver 1.
Ew.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like him, don't like the age, but he's still a great player.
Oof, Devontae Adams. He's my bust. He's my bust candidate. I am on the clock here. I'm just going through some options, trying to see what I want. And I am going to take Travis Etienne as my second running back.
It's a pretty good pick. Go with that. I'm surprised you're gone running back after getting McCaffrey at the 101, though.
Yeah, gotta keep your options open, right? I'm back on the clock here, looking at another player. I could go Sam Laporta. I've actually been really thinking heavily on going Sam Laporta. Gonna be honest. Based on my ranking, Sam Laporta, I'm projected to have finished as the 101 tight end. I don't know why I keep saying 101, but the number 1 tight end over Travis Kelce. And you know what? Let me look at my power rankings. I'm going to look at my rankings on a specific guy that I'm thinking. And it's not the guy you're thinking of, Keith. I know you're already thinking that that's going to be the guy that I want. I'm not picking him this early.
Do it.
I'm not picking him. Let's see. I gotta find my tab now. I think I'm just gonna go in dart throw. Devon E18.
Oh, your dart throw. Oh, dude. Oh my! What's going on? How have you switched from going want to do 0 running back to 3 running backs? I mean, A-Chain is like in the 3rd round. I don't mind A-Chain, but where his ADP is, I hate it. I mean, he's a fade at his ADP, man. Not a chance. There goes your Sam Laporta that you should have picked.
Yeah, I know. I thought about it, but then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with the flow. Devon A-Chain I have is the RB13. Just saying.
How many are running backs have gone off the board then?
Not enough.
9. So you took him as the RB9, right?
Yeah, I took him as the RB9, which is fine with me because Travis Etienne is, I think, a buy based on this because I have him finishing as the RB3. So
I'm up next. Going looking at running backs. Not interested there at the moment. I'm looking at wide receiver. I am Chris Olave, Brandon Ayuk, Nico Collins, Mike Evans, Stephon Diggs, Debo, DJ
DJ
Moore.
Moore.
We already just talked about him, but I'm not going for him. I am going to go for Nico Collins here.
Good pick.
I think he'll end up the wide receiver one.
Hear me out. Why didn't you go with Brandon Ayuk?
If we knew his situation and what's going on, I would have probably went Brandon Ayuk. But there's just, there's a lot of question marks going on. Like if he signs a new contract, I mean, I would have taken probably Brandon Ayuk there. And if we know he's going somewhere else where he's going to be the alpha, the wide receiver one, probably would have taken him there. But it's just all up in the air right now. He's not practicing. We don't really know what the situation, is going to be, how it's going to play out. So I just think it's safer going for Nico Collins.
Okay. Derrick Henry, Chris Olave, Mike Evans, Josh Jacobs, Stephon Diggs, Jalen Hurts. We're in the third round. Then Travis Kelce, the second tight end off the board. Then Isaiah Pacheco, Deebo Samuel, Patrick Mahomes, Michael Pittman, Devonta Smith, and DJ Moore. So you can't get DJ Moore. He's gone.
Can't get DJ. He is gone. But there's a wide receiver that's have to fall to me who I really like this year.
You're going to take him, aren't you?
He was injured a good bit last season. But I think he's going back to the playing. Jalen Waddle. I'd be pretty happy with that start now.
That's a really good pick. I was surprised that Jalen Waddle was still on the board.
Yeah, me too. I like, after not being super happy getting, Devontae Adams as my wide receiver one, the way it's played out, I'm happy now.
Yeah, I'd be happy based on who you have currently on your roster. I actually like your team currently. I'm on the board here, and I'm thinking of going with Rachaad White.
You just abandoned the wide receiver position or any other position?
Zero wide receiver?
I mean, I haven't heard of that really, but you go for it.
I will be taking a different position here, but I'm on the fence whether or not I want to take a quarterback because I want to try a strategy where you don't take a quarterback. So I'm going to take Cooper Kupp. I don't know how I like that. I don't know if I like that.
I don't like that as my wide receiver one, but I don't mind Cooper Kupp. But as my wide receiver one, I'm like,
And I'm going to take a throw at Zay Flowers.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I just can't really get behind him. Like, I really like the talent. I just don't see a world where he gets way more targets. Like, I think his ADP is around where he finished last year, and I think that's what he could do again. I just find it really hard to press the draft button on him.
Maybe I'll tell you what.
Me, but
if it wasn't Zay Flowers, I was going to pick CJ Stroud. That's who I was going to go with.
Yeah.
Because he's my guy.
Yeah. So DK Metcalf goes after your Flowers pick. I'm back on the clock. I want to make sure I get one of these rushing quarterbacks, so I'm taking Lamar Jackson here.
Really?
I was thinking running back, but I want a rushing quarterback, so I went with Lamar Jackson.
What?
So we both went Ravens. I did it because he wouldn't have been there on the way back. That's like, if you look who's gone after me, he wouldn't have been there.
No, he would have never been there. Rachaad White, Trey McBride, James Cook, Mark Andrews, Joe Mixon, Dalton Kincaid, George Pickens. I must say, Trey McBride being the tight end 3 off the board is just absurd. Absurd. I just don't like it.
Where have you got Trey McBride ranked?
I think I have him finishing as the tight end 7.
Okay. I've left him as tight end 3 for now, but I can see him changing. I'm going, like, I've kind of got quarterbacks done, running backs done. I'd say about 40 to 50 wide receivers done, and most of the tight ends done. But I need to figure out, say, the top. Like after Laporta, Kelce, I'd say like the next 6 or 7 I need to, have a look at. But yeah, he's a guy that I could see why he could finish, in the top 5, but he's just a guy I don't find myself wouldn't go after. I think a lot of the targets that he got last year will be going to Marv. Like
Yeah,
that's my big thing on him.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Tank Dell, Joe Burrow, unfortunately, CJ Stroud did not come back around. Kenneth Walker, Kamara, Swift, and then Kyle Pitts. So you're back on the clock. You need a running back here. Are you going to take a running back?
No, I'm gonna go for a wide receiver. I like what's
No.
fallen for me again. I'm gonna take the Cleveland wide receiver one in Amari Cooper here.
Really?
Yeah, I think that as my wide receiver four, that's a great pick in my opinion.
Wow. Wow. That's a shock to me. I'm
I
on the
was
clock.
tossing between T Higgins and Cooper, but I went.
I thought you were going to take T. Higgins. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I went with Cooper. Katie won't be happy with that one, but well.
No, she won't. Dave Montgomery went, which I really like here. But I'm going to take Christian Kirk based on value because I think he won't come back around, but I think he is a wide receiver one there in Jacksonville. I'm going to be there. Again, I could go for tight end, but I think I'm going to just keep on waiting. I'm going to go with another receiver, I do believe. And I think the receiver is going to be someone we just talked about, who I think is going to have a great connection with Mr. Caleb Williams, and that's Keenan Allen.
Nice pick. Yeah, I like the Keenan Allen pick. The Christian Kirk pick, he's never a guy I find myself drafting. I don't think he falls far enough for me. Like I'm not arguing with you about the value. It's just that there's always other guys I like around that, and if he fell into the, what are we in now? We're in seventh. Like this, if he fell into the eighth, because I'm not going to go wide receiver here, I definitely consider him in the eighth. But it's the guy. There's always players around him I like, but don't mind the pick. Keenan Allen pick I really like. I think in the seventh you've got a potential wide receiver one there in the seventh, which I really like that value.
And Richardson goes right after.
Yeah, that's not bad. I don't think if you're looking for. I mean, does the injury risk like we talked with with Jesse Morse on the show and stuff like that. But if you're looking for a Russian running back with that upside in the seventh round, isn't that bad? I don't think.
I just don't like him being the QB7 off the boards.
Yeah, that's probably in his wheelhouse where he could finish all the same though.
I think it's right around his ceiling though. That's the issue.
But see, I get the injury thing, and I get he has to play a full year, but with the Russian upside, he could easily get into that top five. It's kind of my counter argument to your CJ Stroud at 5 because he doesn't have the Russian upside. Like I really like the talent, like him probably more than Richardson, but I don't see him breaking top 5 in fantasy because he hasn't got the Russian upside. Richardson does, and that's where I see him breaking it if he can play a season.
Yeah, and I understand your take on Richardson.
Yeah. I'm back on the clock.
T. Higgins.
I'm definitely not going T now. I mean, I could have waited and came back around, and but the guy I was looking here has come back around to me, so I'm gonna go for James Conner as my RB2 here.
Really, you're intrigued on James Conner?
I still think he gets the bulk of the work there. I know they got Benson and there's a Carter there as well, but I still think once he stays healthy, he's gonna be the goal line back. He's gonna get the most touches. I think he'll be generally speaking, the workhorse. I know they're going to mix in other guys, but I think he'll be getting the main touches. So I like getting, James Conner there in the 7-3.
I'm just concerned that Trey Benson might be the RB1 by the end of the season.
He might be by the end of the season, but I mean, he could still, I could still get half a season out of Conner and help me, make the playoffs.
Yeah, I get that. T. Higgins goes right after. Ramondre Stevenson, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Kittle, Adunze, Pollard, Mostert, Addison. McLaurin going at the A3, I think, is criminal, alongside Calvin Ridley as well. Because if these two are wide receiver ones and they have good potential, they could smash their ADP right now.
Yeah, two guys I'm with you that I really like. Worthy, that's way too early for me on Worthy, in my opinion. Way too high. But I mean, if we take them in a row there, Addison, I'm just kind of out on. We've already talked about how I feel about Vikings. I just like the guy, just out in the situation. But McLaurin, like, could be a steal. Worthy going way too high. Godwin's a solid kind of, more of a solid floor than ceiling type of guy. If he falls in the end zone a few times, he's going to do well for you. But there's talk that he's going back in the slot and going to see more and stuff like that. So maybe, but he doesn't excite me. Ridley, again, like we just talked about Hopkins before the draft, like this guy is wide receiver one potential now, all the way to the moon if he just gets on the same wavelength with Will Levis. So, I mean, there's definitely a couple of, McLaurin, Ridley could be steals there.
Yeah, and the fact that Ridley and McLaurin are there, I think by the season start, they'll probably be at like the 6th round.
I mean, like when I look at the round beforehand, right? I'd rather take McLaurin and Ridley over Pollard, over Dunze, over Najee, over Jones, and the rest I like. You know what I mean? So like, you're getting at least a round value there. And then if you go again, say to the 6th, I would prefer them over Swift for sure.
I prefer him over Swift, Kamara, and Walker.
There you go.
And even Tank Dell.
There you go. So, you know what I mean? So, like, there is value to be found right now. The ADPs are still not catching up to what I think some of them should be. And which, when it comes to draft day, give it, 3 weeks maybe from now, if not more in some of our leagues, you're potentially going to see at least a round value that you can go get, guys.
Yeah, 100% too.
Yeah.
You're on the clock here. Are you thinking
back
of going
on the clock? So back on the clock, you had the run after me. So what do we have? Higgins, Stevenson, Jones, Najee, Kittle, Dunze, Pollard, Mostert. Mostert is another guy. I mean, you took A-Chain and what as your third? What, he went off in the third round? And we have the RB2 from last year going the 8th. I mean, like, he's just so, not being appreciated. I think I get the A-Chain, the noise from him, but Mostert's still going to be there and he's still going to get touchdowns. After that is Addison, McLaurin, Worthy, Godwin, Ridley that we talked about, Dak Prescott at the 8-7, and me back on the clock. So, right, back in here. Evan Ingram, I like at tight end. I don't usually shoot tight ends here, but I do like the option there. But there's a running back here that I do like that's fallen back to me that I think is going to get a lot of touches, and that's Zamir White. So I'm going Zamir White here at the ADP.
I was big on Zamir White, and after doing the ADPs and everything, he would just ended up not being the running back that I thought he was going to be in my fantasy leagues. I've had him falling like as the RB2, 3-ish, maybe even a flex play, and that's the only concern for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks with that Raiders team. Like, the only thing I've done with that is kind of handcuff myself to an Adams, Zamir White kind of thing on a not great team. But if they do manage to go off, well, then I'm good. So
yeah, exactly. I'm on the clock here again, and I think I'm going to go with another receiver. It's going to be Jaden Reed.
Yeah, it's a great pick. Great pick. He was the other one I was considering, but it's a great pick.
A10, and I will be taking a tight end. It is Evan Ingram because he is my tight end 3.
He is your tight. I knew you'd take him at some point, and when I looked at him and he was the first one, I was expecting you to go. But the Reed pick's a great pick. Chubb going at the 8-9 is like, no, is way too soon. In my opinion.
Especially because he's going to be missing some weeks. He's not going to be back into his like full health until maybe week 4, 5, 6. I mean, that's half the fantasy season.
That's it. Exactly. If we were talking 12, 13, yeah, no problem. But in the 8th round, not for me. So I'm back on the clock. We got Ingram, Hollywood Brown, who they're now calling Hollywood. And then it's me on the clock. So what's going on here? Well, Jonathan Brooks, Javonte Williams, Zach Moss, Austin Eckler, Jalen Warren. Oh, look, it's Devin Singletary, Trey Benson, Tajay Spears. None of them really. I like Jalen Warren, but there's so many question marks. I'm kind of staying away from that backfield. Eckler, kind of criminally underestimated, I think, but could be, come to the end. So I'm looking at wide receivers. I've already got 1, 2, 3, 4 here. I'm gonna kind of. It's probably a bit of a reach in the ninth, but as my wide receiver 5, I have no problem going with Keon Coleman here and taking a chance that he is
No
wide receiver
way.
1 for Buffalo.
I think it is a reach, but it's a good reach because I was gonna look at him if he came back around my way.
I think he would have, but just where I am in the draft, with 4 wide receivers on my team, I think it's just worth a shot.
Rashee Rice, Jonathan Brooks, Brock Bowers, Austin Eckler, 9-7. He has fallen. Deontay Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, who just is expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks. Javonte Williams, Lad McConkey, Jalen Warren, Gary's pick, Brian Thomas, Jameson Williams, Kyler Murray, my breakout player, Gus the Bus, and then Zach Moss.
Yeah, back on the clock. I'm going wide receiver again, believe it or not. I think there's a receiver here that's very, very talented and could have a potential breakout for my Seattle Seahawks, and that is Jackson Smith-Njigba. So I think in the 10th round, I like it.
You think he's actually going to break out finally?
I think we could see the emergence of him and, the slight decline, even though I love him, of Tyler Lockett, but I think there's a chance that happens.
Okay. I'm going to go back on to the running backs here. And, of course, the next available running back is my running back of the year, Devin Singletary.
Oh, I wonder why.
I'm going to take a chance on him at the 10-10. I mean, he's got the value. I do have him for anybody who does want to know, because Keith loves to know about it. I have Devin Singletary as the RB 15.
Dear Lord.
I don't know
Fernando was drinking the funky stuff when he made that decision.
I guess so.
Or smoking the funky stuff, whatever you're into.
I'm also going to take someone who's still available, who I have finishing as the positional value number 11. And that is Ezekiel Elliott.
Don't love it, don't hate it. Think it's a solid pick. Singletary, you know how it is, and we'll be talking about that either today or on a show coming up. Yeah, Elliott, I think there was the question marks. I think you brought it up on the show a few weeks ago that he might get released or something. That was rumors, but there's no chance. I mean, I don't think he's cooked like everyone else is. I just think that his upside isn't as high as what it once was, but you're talking about an 11th-round pick, so you're not expecting miracles here either. So, yeah, it's a solid pick. Njoku goes next. A tight end that I think I had as one of my...
You like Njoku?
No, it's a guy that is ADP I don't like. That's what I brought up. I mean, I like
though. At this rate, I think his ADP is not bad.
What is he? Is he like he's in the top 10? I think we're basing. My problem is we're basing a lot of that. We're basing that off Joe Flacco. That's the way I look at it from last year. And Deshaun Watson, we didn't see much of, and what we seen was not good. So I can see all the reasons to go get him, but he's just not late enough for me. I mean, if he falls 2 rounds later, even. It's just the way I go with tight end. You know how it is.
I know how it is.
I'll pick someone later, and we'll see how it plays out. But I'm back on the clock here. I'm taking running back, and I like Brian Robinson here, so I'm going to take him. I think we'll see a lot more from this guy this year, and I think he'll be definitely more on the touchdown heavy side, opposed to Austin Eckler.
Jordan Love, Jake Ferguson, Jordan Love, Caleb Williams, Brock Purdy, Dallas Goedert, Trey Benson, TJ Hawkinson, Tajay Spears, great pick at the 12-1 value. Romeo Dobbs, Tua Tagovailoa, Dalton Schultz, another great tight end value. Blake Corum, Cortland Sutton, and then Jaden Daniels. So more quarterbacks coming off the board. Their second quarterbacks around. Again, 1 quarterback league. I just don't see the urge to really have to go get a second quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I like the waiting and trying to get Jim Daniels, so because you have that rushing upside, especially in the 12th round there. But it's just a chance you take that somebody else doesn't love him more and takes him sooner. And then if that happens, and you're a guy that wants the rushing upside, you kind of get robbed there. Like Kyler in the 10th is a good play too. I also like that. So like if I play the waiting game, we're gonna be mocking a lot between now and the start of the season. Like we'll be trying things out. If I was waiting, there'd be the two guys I'd be looking at. Also, you kind of throw Love in there for, and he hasn't got the rushing upside, but if he does what he did last year, you'd be doing well in your league. So yeah, they're the guys I kind of be looking at this range. But me back on the clock at 12-8. Running back, I like. Gonna take him. Chase Brown. I think
That's such a good pick.
All the noise in training camp is that he's out doing moss. He's running with the ones. I think his ADP is going to start flying up. So Chase Brown there is a solid pick.
I was actually thinking of going for him.
Well, I didn't leave him for you.
Well, thank you very much. Jerome Ford comes off the board as well. I'm on the clock here, and I actually kind of thought Jordan Love, Brock Purdy was going to come back around. Maybe. Turns out that didn't become the case. But I am going to look at my next available options, and it's kind of very slim.
you might have left that a round or two too late, in my opinion.
Yeah, a round or two too late. So we're gonna go Curtis Samuel here. I think that's a valuable pick right there to take because of the fact that you got Keon Coleman, who is projected to be wide receiver 1. I have him doing really good, but Curtis Samuel, another really sneaky guy, because don't forget Gabe Davis is gone.
Yeah.
I'm back on the clock here. And now I'm in between the Justin Herbert, Jared Goff option, and I'm going to take Jared Goff because why not? He was the QB7.
Yeah, that's the guy you got to go for. Like, I'm not taking Justin Herbert at all if I can help it, and I draft it the way I want.
You didn't change anything. I'm fine with Jared Goff.
No, I'm not Justin Herbert, not Goff. I don't mind Goff at all, but Justin Herbert because you were going between two guys. But now the foot injury for Herbert even puts me off him even further. I don't like the upside at all there. I think Goff, the problem is with Goff, obviously we know no rushing upside, that's fine. But the problem with Goff is that he's very good at home and he's very average away.
Yeah, but if you think about it, he's got weapons, and Jameson Williams now under a year under his belt.
Yeah, what I was going to say is if he can get that level up when he plays away from home in fantasy, then he's going to be top 10 and you're going to be very happy where you're after taking him.
Yeah.
I'm back on the clock here. Don't really like a whole lot. So what have I got? 3 rounds left.
Should go for Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, yeah. For no apparent reason because I have Jackson. And we all know I love Trevor.
Trevor.
But I'm going to look at tight end. I like Cole Kmet here. I
would have just waited.
I still think he's going to be relevant. I could have just waited, but there's nothing jumping out of me right now at either position. I'm fairly happy with my team, so I'm just going to take Cole Kmet here.
Okay. It's not a bad pick. Pretty decent pick. Your boy's coming around the corner, I tell you what. Kyler Shakir, A.D. Mitchell, Tyler Lockett, Mike Williams, Zach Charbonnet, Pat Freiermuth, Xavier Leggett, Trevor Lawrence, Jacoby Myers, Jalen Wright, Josh Downs, Luke Musgrave, Jerry Jeudy, Kendre Miller. We're starting to get down to the nitty-gritty of these players. But I must say, do you see someone who you're on the clock and who you can get?
I do see a player that I think I'm hoping and praying he can get over his injuries. It's a big hope. He's my deep sleeper that we brought up a few weeks ago, and I'm going to go for J.K. Dobbins.
You did go for him. I'm on the clock here, so here's my thought process. I didn't have to go with Jared Goff because I was going to probably go with Baker Mayfield because I think he'll still be good. I forgot
you love Baker.
I'm now a Baker fan. I can
never get on board.
If you're really looking to wait on your one quarterback leagues, I mean, getting Brock Purdy, Jordan Love, Jared Goff, or even Baker Mayfield or even Kyler Murray in your 10th round plus, it's really, really good in my opinion. I would probably taken Kyler Murray.
You
Or
should have
probably would
taken.
have
You
taken
should have
CJ
taken
Stroud.
Kyler. Only that. Only obviously he didn't come back to you. You would have taken him the ninth. But if you could
I would have
somehow,
taken Kyler Murray and then Evan Ingram. Or
yeah,
I would have taken CJ Stroud and Christian Kirk.
way back up. Yeah. Well, like, what are we talking about for Stroud? Where did he go? He went a 6'3".
Yeah.
I mean, that's just where it's the way you're drafting at the one, right? You got to take these guys because you know you've got to wait so long they're not going to
Yeah.
come back. Do you know what I mean? That's just kind of the way it worked out. You were going to be in the right, in the right tier and in the right round, but you're just too soon. So you would have had to kind of, it would have felt like you were jumping a little bit, but that's just kind of where you were drafting.
Exactly. And I don't know. I think I'm happy with how this draft currently is gone for me, I think.
Even with all your running backs at the start.
Yeah, I mean, Devon A-Chain, I wish I could probably get back, but I think I'm going to take a chance with him this year a couple times. I was anti Devon A-Chain last year, and I just didn't get him in any league. I think another guy I would have been probably fine with going for is probably Derrick Henry. That would have been the other guy.
He's a guy I looked at. If I went different and started with a wide receiver, I would have been looking at Derrick Henry because I definitely took a second glance when he was on there.
I would have also probably went with Chris Olave in that pick, and then waited when I came around, got Cooper Kupp and like Rashad White.
Yeah.
Taking Joshua Palmer. That's my guy.
I like Palmer. I really do, and I just hope Justin Herbert's out there because I think he's the guy that's going to be fed. I really think that. Have you been watching all the Quentin Johnson stuff? I think it's gotten his head now. The drops have just been absolutely terrible.
For who? Joshua Palmer?
No, Quentin Johnson in training camp.
Well, he's irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, the drops have been terrible. I think Palmer's going to be the guy there. So, yeah, I think, what's that, your second last pick? It's a solid pick.
And then my last pick is going to be someone who is a deep sleeper breakout for me, and that is Marvin Mims.
Oh, nice. Don't you have this guy leading all receptions or something like that? Or targets or something?
Yeah, I have him leading with the most yardage, I do believe, for Denver. Okay. Double checking it. He has not the most targets, but the most receiving yards.
Okay.
He breaks out and he gets over 1,000 receiving yards.
I mean, I think he has the chance. I think it's going to be, new QB in there, starting from scratch. He's just been kind of on returns the last year. So, we haven't seen a whole lot of him, but I think he has the potential. So, this could be a good shout.
Yeah. Rigo Dowdle goes right after. And who is your dart throw? I thought about going with Troy Franklin, by the way, but I just don't think he was ready.
Yeah, I agree with that one. There's two players I like that are deep down here. Well, not deep. One is Jahan Dotson. Always like the talent. Just not sure how it's going to play out there in Washington, like we kind of said. The other guy I like is Wicks, Dontavian Wicks for Green Bay.
Really?
I think he slots in as a wide receiver 4 there, but I'm not sure. I like Reed. I think Reed is probably the natural wide receiver 1. I think everybody's high on Watson, but Watson's touchdown percentage, like I think Jesse Moore said last week, is so high. I just personally don't see that staying. I mean, he's got to, to be fantasy relevant, he's got to hit the end zone more times than not because, he's not going to see the ball a lot outside of it. That's the way I kind of look at it, but who knows? But I'm going with Wicks here. I think there's upside there. With my last pick, I think he's a good dart throw.
It's not bad. Ty Chandler, Ben Sinnott, Rashid Shaheed, Marshawn Lloyd, Antonio Gibson, Kirk Cousins, and then Tyler Algier still getting his name on the draft board.
That's because they came out recently and said that Algier is going to be very much involved. So
yeah, that's true. That is very true. That makes sense why he's still on the board.
What do you think? What do you think your team?
It's not the draft I expected. I just want to say this draft right here is not a normal draft for me. I do not pick 90% of these players in normal drafts.
Yeah.
Like if you look at like team 8, I could have probably went with like a team 8 or like a Yeah, I could probably went with like a team 8 or a team 7 type of deal. I would have probably went with like Monra, Marvin Harrison, then maybe go with like Michael Pittman, and then on the comeback around, maybe Jalen Waddle. I went with
Yeah.
0 running backs. That was, I thought I was going to get team 6, 7, or 8, and that's the point where I would have went with 0 running backs.
So you just flipped the
Yeah,
script on its head completely and went total opposite way.
yeah, I went 0 wide receivers, and I think overall, you look at the team, it's really not bad. Like Christian, it's only 2 running backs. So Christian McCaffrey, Travis Etienne are the main 2. Devon A. Chain will be the flex. And then you have 3 receivers: Cooper Kupp, Christian Kirk, and maybe even Keenan Allen or Jaden Reed. I think, or Zay Flowers. It's kind of one of those 5. 3 of those 5 will be the starters, and then they alternate. Curtis Samuel, dart throw; Joshua Palmer, dart throw; Marvin Mims, dart throw. But those are those bench players that will come in. Evan Ingram, Jared Goff, I'm perfectly fine with as my quarterback tight end. Yeah, and then of course Singletary and Zeke are very sneaky. Those are guys who could easily go above A Chain in rankings.
Oof. That's
Woo!
that's spicy. That's spicy.
I woke up today with a little hot sauce on
You
my
definitely
mind.
did. You definitely did. I mean, look. I love to start with McCaffrey and Etienne. I would have went different. I think you could have got a better wide receiver instead of A Chain.
I
I
would have
know.
went Olave.
Yeah, I know. I think that would have been solid. I mean, I'm fine with Cup, just not as your wide receiver 1. Say Flowers, like I already mentioned, just having just not my guy this season. Christian Kirk doesn't fall enough for me, but I like him. Keenan Allen, I think he's a great pick there. I'd be starting Cup and Allen. I'm probably Reed if it was me. Ingram, he's your guy. I like him too. I think he's the safety blanket for Lawrence. Singletary, not my guy. Well, he's fine at his ADP. I just don't have him going exactly where you do. Elliott, fine. Curtis Samuel, he's fine to 12th. I think a lot of people think he's going to lead the wide receiver room there, and if he does, I think he's a great pick in the 12th. Goff, very solid. Can't really complain with weapons. Palmer is a guy I really like, especially where he's going. Mims, dart throw. Mims is the type of guy that if he does see and get enough targets and gets on the same page as Knicks, that he'd be like that kind of sneaky league winner. So I don't really love it, but I don't hate it. I give you kind of like a B minus or a C plus, whatever you want to take there. It's just because I just think it would make a whole lot difference if you ditched A Chain and got a top wide receiver. Then I think you'd be way better, and still have majority of the guys after that you picked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. As for your team, I think your running backs are a little questionable. I think the wide receivers are all set. Jalen Waddle is your wide receiver 1, personally. Nico is your 2. Devontae is your 3, in my opinion. Amari Cooper, I'd probably put as the flex player. And then you have the 3 other wide receivers that you can alternate with. Brees Hall, number 1. James Conner, number 2. We're going to have to find that new number 2 soon. It might be Zamir White that rotates with James Conner as the RB2. Lamar Jackson, it's all right. I just think he's just overhyped every year, but I think he still does the job. I just think he's really high. I think could have just waited another round, maybe got another player, or he waited until he 10th guy like Kyler Murray. Jordan Love, Brock Purdy. Cole Kmet, don't like. I just think there's too many mouths to feed at that point on Chicago's team. And then J.K. Dobbins, that's your guy. I'm expecting you to take him. If he stays healthy, he could be really, really good. But again, he could be really, really bad with injury. Brian Robinson, Chase Brown, 2 good dart throws for them as well. I'd probably go with, because running backs are so hard to come by, I'd probably give your team. I'm really debating whether I want to be really generous or really brutal.
It's like how brutal, because it's not that brutal. I like my team personally.
I'm thinking like as low as a C and as high as a B.
Oh,
somewhere
it's a B. It's not a C.
I'm gonna give your team a B minus.
Okay, I think that's harsh. I think it's a solid B.
Like I could give you Devin Singletary for Keon Coleman.
God, no.
Or like Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper.
Not for Devin Singletary.
I think it's not bad though. I think
You should
overall,
post these teams and ask people to grade our teams. There you go.
I know. You know what? I should. I very much should.
You should do that.
I think I'm going to pick side A or side B.
Exactly, and see and grade it and see what you think.
Well, I think that's about it, right? I think that's it.
That's it. That was a good draft. I'm sure we'll be doing a lot more now between now and before kickoff of the real NFL season.
It's the Makalakathon.
That's what we gotta call it. Makalakathon. I like it, Fernando.
That's the word I got. I just created it right on the spot. It's the Mock Month Mayhem. Of course, we got ourselves going back and forth all month long. Tonight, I think it's about an hour and a half until we finally have our Hall of Fame game. Football's finally back. I'm excited. Keith, I'm sure you're excited. Bears Texans tonight. We'll be back next week. And for anyone going to the Fantasy Football Expos, you can catch me and some of my friends there. Keith will unfortunately not be there. Maybe trying to still convince him to go. Hopefully he'll go. He'll change his mind. But hopefully whoever's there, Dave Kluge, I know is expected to be there. Jesse Morris expected to be there. A lot of good names. People we've had on the show. Marcus Grant, I think, is also expected to be there. You know, maybe that's just convincing Keith to go there. But if you haven't done so already, go to Underdog Fantasy. Use that code SportsTimeHQ. They're going to match first deposit up to $100. And if you haven't done so already, go to TrophySmack.com/SportsTimeHQ. We're going to have a couple bets going on with some trophies, rings, belts, something along those lines. And, of course, we're going to have our league that we have every year, the Redraft Sports Time HQ League. And the winner of that league will win a trophy. So if you're watching and you're interested, DM me on Instagram, Twitter, whatever social media handles you got, TikTok, one of them. I'm everywhere. If you want to know where I am, well, go and type in @SportsTimeHQ. That's where you can find me, myself, and all of us. We're going to get our writers going back again, having our writers on the website, SportsTimeHQ.com. And Keith, you can follow him at SwampDonkey_90. And on Instagram at HuddleUp_NFL. I'm Fernando, of course, your host of Sports Time HQ. We will see you all next week.